Matt was 32 and Katie was 30. They had been happily married for a decade, building a life together with their 2 children, a son named Mason and a daughter named Daisy. They did everything possible to give their kids a great life, enrolling them in fun activities, sending them to a private school, and supporting their every new interest. Matt was the primary breadwinner, but Katie never worried about the difference in their earnings. She appreciated having her own paycheck to indulge herself, while Matt ensured the household was financially stable. To the outside world, Matt was the ideal husband. He was hands-on with household chores, deeply engaged with the kids, planned special outings, and pampered Katie at every opportunity. If she mentioned wanting a day at the salon or a cosmetic treatment, he would smile and hand her his card, saying, "Anything for my sweetheart." Her friends and colleagues envied her, believing she found a rare gem of a husband. Even Katie's mother constantly reminded her to treasure him. As time passed, Matt's company faced financial difficulties, and Katie began seeking new job opportunities since her employer refused to grant her a raise. She never pressured Matt about money. Instead, she saw it as her role to stand by him. During tough moments, she reassured him, offering warm words of encouragement. "These things happen to everyone," she would say with a comforting smile. "We vow to stick together through better or worse, richer or poorer." Matt felt incredibly fortunate. "I made the right choice with you, Katie," he often told her. "I'm just grateful we have each other." The day of Katie's big job interview finally arrived, and she was overwhelmed with nerves. Matt did everything he could to keep her calm, even taking over her usual morning routine, preparing breakfast and brewing fresh coffee. "Even if you don't get it, it's not the end of the world," he assured her. "If it's not meant to be, we'll find something better." Despite her anxiety, Katie found comfort in knowing that the man she loved believed in her completely. That evening, she returned home with a triumphant grin, holding a bottle of champagne. "Guess what?" she called out from the front door. "I got the job." Matt swept her into a tight embrace. "I never had a doubt you're incredible." A year into her new position, Matt's career also took a turn for the better. Before long, their lives returned to normal. Matt was back to earning well, and Katie could once again enjoy spending her earnings on little luxuries. But something was different. Matt noticed that Katie often stayed late at work. She also started showing up with expensive designer clothes and accessories. When he asked about them, she casually brushed it off, saying she found them on sale or that a friend had given them to her. Though he tried to ignore the uneasy feeling creeping into his thoughts, suspicion lingered. One evening, Matt suggested they take a break from the routine and spend some time apart. He could go out with his friends, and Katie could meet up with her girlfriends. "I think I'd rather stay home tonight," she said. "The kids are at my mom's, and I'd love to enjoy the quiet." Taking her at her word, Matt headed out for a rare night with the guys. His friend George, who everyone called Gio, convinced him to check out a nightclub after a few drinks. "They've got an amazing DJ tonight," Gio urged. "Come on, we'll just see what the place is like." Matt chuckled. "You do realize I'm married, right?" Yeah, I remember," Gio smirked. "You go for the music. I'll scope out the ladies." Matt had never been one for clubs. Too crowded, too loud, too many intoxicated people stumbling around. But for some reason, that night, he went along with it. Just after midnight, he and Gio pulled up to a building glowing with neon lights. They paid the cover, stepped inside, and were instantly engulfed by the thumping bass and electrifying atmosphere. The dance floor pulsed with energy, flashing strobe lights slicing to the dim haze, bodies swaying in rhythm to the pounding beat. Groups of men leaned against the bar, nursing their drinks while eyeing the women lost in the music. Out of nowhere, Gio returned, holding 2 glasses. "Here you go," he said, passing one to Matt. They clinked their glasses. To a great night. They lingered at the bar, reminiscing about college days, their first jobs, and ridiculous stories that sent them into fits of laughter. Then, from the corner of his eye, Matt caught a glimpse of someone that made his heart nearly stop. A familiar face, one that looked exactly like Katie's. Confused, he bolted upright, pushing through the crowd. "Hey, watch it!" Someone called after him, but Matt barely registered it. His entire focus was locked on the scene before him. There, Right in the middle of the dance floor was Katie, but she wasn't dancing with a girlfriend. She was wrapped around a man Matt had never seen before. The way the guy held her left no doubt. They weren't just dance partners, and Katie wasn't resisting. If anything, she leaned into him, let his hands roam places they had no business being. Matt's world tilted. His pulse pounded as he charged forward, grabbing Katie's arm and spinning her around to face him. Without thinking, he threw his drink straight at her. Drenched in cold liquor, Katie gasped, staring at it with wide, stunned eyes. The surrounding crowd froze, eager for the unfolding drama. "What the hell are you doing here?" Matt yelled over the relentless bass. The stranger stepped in, shoving Matt back. "Don't touch her." Matt clenched his jaw. "Get your hands off me," he warned, his voice low with fury. "I can't be responsible for what happens next." "Kyle, it's fine. Let me handle it," Katie said quickly. But Matt wasn't done. He grabbed her by the sleeve and hauled her outside. The summer night air felt unnaturally cold, and the sticky booze clinging to Katie's clothes made her shiver. Matt's head swam from alcohol, his ears still ringing from the club's deafening speakers. "What the hell, Katie?" His voice sounded foreign even to himself. She sucked in a shaky breath and finally admitted the truth. There was someone else, a man from work. "Kyle." Feelings had developed, and she was tired pretending. "I want to leave, Matt," she murmured, barely audible. "I just didn't know how to tell you." For a moment, Matt saw nothing but white-hot anger. Everything clicked. The late nights, the designer clothes, the flimsy excuses about sales and gifts. His voice was ice when he spoke. "The kids stay with me. Don't get your hopes up. And you," he exhaled sharply, steadying himself. "If this is what you want, walk away. I'm done." His throat felt tight, but he refused to break down in front of her. The only thing racing through his mind was how he'd explain this to their children. In the end, Katie told them herself. She explained why she was leaving. Their daughter, Daisy, wept and begged to stay with her mother, while Mason flat out refused to leave his dad. Matt hated the idea of separating them, but both kids stood firm in their choices. Katie and Daisy moved in with Kyle, but it didn't take long for things to unravel. Kyle had no real interest in being a stepfather, and worse, Katie didn't stand up for her own daughter. She let Kyle push Daisy away. Eventually, Daisy returned to Matt, feeling abandoned by the one person who should have fought for her. And not long after, Katie's new relationship crumbled. Kyle had a drinking problem, and what started as fun nights out turned into never-ending benders. Katie finally realized she wanted out. By then, she tried reaching out to Mason and Daisy again, but it wasn't that simple. Neither of them was eager to rebuild a bond with a mother who had walked away from them, especially Daisy, who still carried the sting of rejection. As for Matt, the pain of betrayal didn't fade overnight. It took time, long, difficult months of healing. But about a year later, he met someone new. Slowly, he opened his heart again. Because just because one person betrays you doesn't mean you stop believing in love altogether.